Since its official release in 2017, Wildcard's ARK Survival Evolved has gained much attention from both the gaming elite and the average player. This is due largely in part to the size and possibility held within the game itself. When I first started playing ARK, I was immediately curious to its story. At first, I assumed it was a game about cavemen in the Jurassic era, but soon discovered things that simply wouldn't fit with this genre, from unnatural dinos to straight-up robotic armor. After learning about the Explorer notes, I was immediately interested and fixed on learning the lore of ARK. Because there is no single player or story mode, experiencing this lore is completely up to the player. Wildcard doesn't forget about those who are willing to spend their time searching for this story though, because they have provided the ARK community with an amazingly crafted and written account that answers nearly any survivor's questions. If you're interested in these notes and have not yet read them, go watch my previous videos. Shameless promotion. In this video, we will be going over the entire story of the island from first spawn to the end boss, following the 4 authors who have told it in personal accounts. Thanks so much for tuning in, and a big thank you to those who have followed me up until now. Enjoy Survivor. After reading the first few notes, it's easy to see that the diverse cast of authors face their impending survival with different attitudes. Our first author is Sir Edmund Rockwell, a self-loving chemist from 19th century London. Rockwell's opinion of both himself and the island are very obvious from the first note. From his first days on the island, Rockwell focuses his efforts on studying the plant life instead of actually surviving. His questions are not about his family back home or how or why he has awoken in this strange world, but about the properties of the world itself. Soon enough, he accumulates a following of other survivors and builds a settlement which he dubs Rockwell Manor. His newfound allies become assistants to his studies, and other tribes that have begun to form hear of his intelligence. Because of this, Rockwell becomes a sort of neutral party and mediator to different disputes on the island. The next author is Gaius Marcellus Nerva. Nerva is a power-hungry warrior from around 100 BC Rome. As he arrives on the island, he is immediately disgusted at the disorder of the survivors, fighting like dogs over scraps of meat. He cultivates allies who he deems fit to be legionnaires in his army, and slowly grows more powerful with rising soldiers. After a brief period of peace, Nerva begins attacking surrounding tribes in hope of conquering and eventually ruling the island, acting under the belief that his gods sent him to govern these people. Not every survivor intended to lead, however, as shown through our next author, Mei Yin Li, a young fighter from the Three Kingdoms era of China. Because of her history, as she grew up defending her town from the crossfire of the Yellow Turban Rebellion against the Han Dynasty around 100 AD in China, Mei Yin has become quite the soldier. After waking up on the shores of the island, she expresses no desire to join a tribe or team with people. As the first survivors she meets eye her like meat and attempt to overtake her. She massacres them with little effort, however, and ventures into the dense jungles alone. In the absence of human contact, Mei masters the technique of taming dinosaurs and soon forms a powerful pack of raptors to fight and defend her. Finally, we are given the journal entries of Helena Walker, the author of all of the dinosaur dossiers and a biologist from modern-day Australia, and even confirmed by Wildcard to be the woman riding a raptor on the box for the game. Like Rockwell, Helena was far more interested in studying the island than anything else. Most of her accounts illuminate different theories and oddities of the ecosystem on the land. Unlike Rockwell, however, the awe and wonder of the island soon wears off as she realizes something bigger than just survival might drape these castaways. Before we dive into the real story, however, let's take a look about what we know about the island itself. Firstly, the island has set spawn points near water sources and different materials in order to aid survivors early game. Looking beyond this, you can see that these locations are strategically placed around green coastal areas, as less dangerous beasts tend to spawn here. This seems logical from a gaming standpoint, but Wildcard went a step further. Their choice of spawn points and patterns of dino appearance suggests not just a developer's foresight, but the work of some other intelligence on the island. Now, topographically, the default map for ARK is extremely diverse and versatile, boasting 6 different geological regions including the tundra, a mountain range, forests, jungles, swamps, and plains, as well as individual islands that branch off from these and lush ocean worlds beneath them. 3 towering obelisks float above different points on the island, forming a triangle. For so many different regions, each having their own wildlife, is ecologically impossible in of itself, not to mention the state of their inhabitants. As Helena Walker said in just her 6th note, "Going through my notes, I've realized that there are more predators than prey across this entire island by almost double. That's the opposite of how any ecosystem is supposed to work." So if this world is so logically impossible, then how does it exist? And how did people from different planes of existence end up here? Well, let's get into the story. After establishing his settlement, Rockwell begins experiments on as many humanoid subjects as he can, eventually convincing members of nearby tribes to submit to his testing under the ruse of free food. As tensions between Nerva's army, the New Legion, and other tribes intensify, Rockwell meets Nerva with the intent to reason with him, but finds he actually agrees with Nerva's efforts, siding with his cause. After this, all subjects soon withdraw from Rockwell's experiments upon discovering the dangers, leaving his work completely frozen. To break his intense boredom that soon ensued, Rockwell decides to go spelunking, a type of cave exploration, and becomes the first survivor to uncover an artifact. According to his writings, he found the artifact in a remote northern cave, meaning he either encountered the artifact of the Skylord or the artifact of the Devourer. According to his tribe placement on the map, it is more likely that he found the artifact of the Devourer. Matching the style of the artifact with one of the obelisks, Rockwell soon draws a connection between the two entities. He is soon obsessed with the obelisks and focuses all of his efforts on researching them. Rockwell bargains with other tribes like the Howling Wolves to hunt down these artifacts for him, to which they eventually comply. Nerva hears about Rockwell's studies and offers his army to help research, as well as test subjects, in exchange for only Rockwell's counsel. Up until this point, Mei Yin and Helena have been progressing on the island, not beholden to a single tribe. Mei Yin continues in her distrust for other survivors, but expresses her compassion and humanity by giving aid to other tribes in need. Her herd grows steadily, becoming more family than tames, and her closest being a black raptor named Wu Sui. Soon Helena Walker arrives in her territory, hoping to study Mei Yin's animals. At first, she did not trust this stranger, but with time they grew to be friends, discussing recipes and mysteries of the island. Helena had gained a public friendship with Rockwell, confiding in him often as a scientific equal, viewing him as even a father figure. Because of this, she eventually had to leave Mei Yin to her lonely land once more. When enlisted by a tribe in need, called the Painted Sharks, Mei Yin realized that little squabbles over territory and food were no longer her largest concern. The New Legion had set its sights on the Painted Sharks, promising their defeat. As the war eventually arrived, the New Legion strode confidently to the walls of the Painted Sharks, artillery at the ready. As they began their siege, Mei Yin exploded from the tree line with her army of dinos and toppled the New Legion's forces, earning her largest victory yet. Though she saved the Painted Sharks, her power frightened them, and though they kept her near, they closed their eyes to her attempts at conversation. The Painted Sharks and Mei Yin brought the war to the New Legion territory, in hopes to end the terror once and for all. However, in the night the forces were attacked and set ablaze by New Legion spies, and because of their fear, the Painted Sharks banished Mei Yin from their tribe, blaming her for the attack. News of Mei Yin's victories had spread by this point, causing people to give her the title of Beast Queen, a woman who controlled the beasts of the island but could not side with any man. Thrust into her seclusion once more, Mei Yin soon comes face to face with a terrifying Gigantosaurus, whom she names the Demon King. His eyes burn with fury, and no enemy can topple him. After a great struggle, she manages to tame him, learning that his fury does not end even under her command, forcing her to keep him away from the rest of her pack. At this point, Helena's studies have pushed her to question the island and everything that happens on it. She has come to a conclusion that it is being governed or curated by something else, and refuses to fall victim to its wonder anymore. After learning about the mystery of the obelisks from Rockwell, she enlists Mei Yin and travels to the nearest tower, with artifacts in hand. They enter and defeat the Megapithecus, one of the island's endgame bosses, returning to an awaiting New Legion army. The Demon King attacks immediately and loses control, killing anything in its path. In the chaos, Wu Sui drags an injured Mei Yin to safety, and dies soon after. Helena is nowhere in sight. Mei Yin vows vengeance on the New Legion, and specifically Nerva, following them to the final terminal, discovering that they had acquired all of the artifacts, and defeated the Megapithecus, the Broodmother, and the dragon. The army opens the portal, and as they walk through, Mei Yin frees a caged Helena. Helena became a prisoner of war because of her knowledge of the island, and the anger Rockwell held for her so-called betrayal of researching without him. Helena contests Mei Yin going through the portal to kill Nerva, receiving a clean knockout punch in return. After awaking, Helena enters the portal to search for her friend, but is met instead with a battlefield. When I came to, I searched the whole station, but the only signs of Megan and Nerva were a few ounces of dried blood. No bodies and no victor. There, floating outside the window and surrounded by machinery, was the very island that I had been living on, and it too was orbiting high above the Earth along with countless other stations just like it. The ecosystem on the island wasn't just curated, it was completely artificial from the ground up. After this, Helena is the final author to ascend. Though we don't have any explorer notes accounting the actual boss fight, we have access to it in-game. Upon entering the space station, 3 screens surround the survivor, each depicting one of the creature bosses as shown through small holograms. Moving to the next room, a hologram of Jurassic Earth and Pangea is displayed across from what seems to be a spawning chamber, injecting different dinosaurs into the island. The hologram highlights different land areas, suggesting the regions that the matching dinos come from. After progressing, a similar room can be seen with a modern-day Earth formation displaying human figures in the injection chamber. This is the area that survivors are filtered into the ARKs. Next, a third hologram of Earth is shown, deserted and dry. Large red patches paint the outlines of the now dead planet. The injection chamber shows the outline of what appears to be humans floating in front of the shape of an implant, posing many new questions. Progressing, the survivor comes across a bridge in the craft, showing the island far below. Supply crates shoot down all around, providing an answer to their origin. After progressing to the final room, a large outline of the island floats center stage, highlighting different points in a foreign script, before dissolving into a cloud of particles and animating a stationary implant-shaped object. The fight is long with many minions, but once defeated, something incredible happens. The room bursts into light as a hologram of the solar system appears, showing the Earth surrounded by arcs. Flying high above the surface, a single arc is outlined in red, indicating a malfunction on the craft, this malfunction being the murder of the Overseer. The survivor then begins ascension. Flying through space away from the craft, a dead Earth and dozens of other arcs shoot past. The implant reverberates and activates with some kind of energy before the survivor dissolves into the same kind of cloud as the Overseer, before being injected into the next arc, the Theater of Scorched Earth, Wildcard's second canon DLC. Now that we've completed the progression of the story, let's move on to some of my theories, as little beyond the explorer notes themselves are confirmed by Wildcard as canon. The first and more widely accepted theory is aliens. An invasion would explain the strange hyper-advanced technology and gigantic floating obelisks, as well as the many floating spacecrafts and overseers. Aliens arrived on Earth and engaged in an extinction-worthy war with mankind, rendering the planet uninhabitable. After the war is won, these beings raised giant chunks of engineered land into space, harboring the last surviving humans from a dead planet. However, this theory does not explain the survivors' origins on different points of the timeline, or why dinosaurs were inexplicably reanimated and placed on these chunks of floating rock. And Wildcard even evaded the question of aliens, stating, why does it have to be aliens? Suggesting another culprit. Theory 2 depicts a deeper story. The ARK game is set hundreds, maybe even millions of years into the future. From war and greed to overpopulation and use of the land, Earth has died, and man begins to die out with it. Because the scene is set so far in the future, mankind has developed and perfected new types of technology and properties, maybe even the ability to capture the human spirit. My theory is that the final inhabitants of Earth began Project ARK, an effort put in place to fight the extinction of mankind. The survivors on the island are genetically perfected human bodies implanted with a chosen consciousness, perhaps dead humans who bought a place on the Ark before extinction. In the spacecraft, the human injection chamber acts exactly as the dinosaur one, seeming extremely modified and predetermined. Yet the ethereal spirit chamber moves differently. An ominous ghost, perhaps not even a hologram, floats beyond the glass before a giant implant. Perhaps the implant is human consciousness, fused with some sort of futuristic technology. This could explain the author's different origins. This advanced man could have plucked worthy candidates from any point in history. This theory, however, does not explain why the authors retain their memories from before the island, but no current survivors do. There is no lore or story connected to any survivors past Helena's ascension. As well as this, assuming the Overseer is created by man, why does it attack the survivors that enter the ship? Why is there even an entrance point to the ship in the first place? And why is all of the writing in the craft in a different non-human hand? Why would a sentient being oversee the ARKs and not more humans? Beyond these questions, it is clear to see that the islands and other masses are here to protect humanity in one form or another. This is where the name ARK originates. The ARKs are arcs of life, plucked and chosen to survive against all odds during this time of utter destruction. Thanks so much for watching this summary and wrap-up of the island. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, and stay tuned for the continuation of the Explore Note series to Scorched Earth.